Hi everyone and welcome to class today. So today we are going to do back bend and shoulder opening, and eventually we will try wheel pose. So it's a pose with a lot of arm strength, but your shoulder will be flexed very much. So normally we do arms strength poses with your arms like in this position. It's called shoulder flexion. But in wheel pose your shoulder flex very much, so even more than 180 degree. Right. So it's a big back bend and require arm strength too. At first, let's start the class in supported fist pose. So you will prepare one block and a strap, one or two blocks and a strap with you. Let's put the block on the floor so that you can lay down with the block supporting you between your shoulder blades. I'm going to hold the blocks with my hand and then put it right between my shoulder blades on my upper back. I'm going to use the medium size of the block, but you feel free to use the low side. If you feel like your head feel very uncomfortable, support a block, another one underneath your head too. And now let's bring your arms outside. So this is already a shoulder opening. We're going to stay here for the few breaths in the beginning of the class. So you can keep your eyes closed. When you inhale, feel how your lungs expanding to the front of your torso. Feel how your rib cage is opening to the front. And exhale completely. Inhale, feel how your chest, the front of your shoulders are expanding. And exhale, let go of your shoulders. Think of how they are sinking down toward the floor. Continue your deep, long and slow breath. And feel whenever you inhale, you are opening very much into the front through your chest. If you get used to the shoulder opening here and you don't feel any shoulder opening anymore, bring your arms to over your head. You can bend your elbows and lift your arms over your head or in a letter U position. Then continue with your deep breath. So every time you inhale, feel your chest and the front of your shoulders opening. And exhale. Think of dropping your shoulders and your elbows down toward the floor. And the last few breaths we are here, let's observe how your back bend is now mostly on your upper back and very little on your lower back. So in all the back bends we do today, we're going to try to bend more into your upper back like we are doing now in this position. That means you will push your chest forward very much and open your chest and the front of your shoulders. And then to get out of this pose, slowly bring your arms back. See if you can lift your chest off the block, hold into the block and move it to the side. Lay down to the floor. Bend your knees, put your hands on your belly and stay here for a few breaths, like 3 breaths. Inhale, belly pushing into your hands. And exhale, press your belly down to push your back down to the floor. Spend time here to wait for your spine to sink back down to the floor and get out of the back bend. And then you can bring your knees toward your chest, hug your knees in and move your body forward and backward for several times. And maybe turning to the side and go to table pose, or you can rock yourself and go to table pose. So table pose with your hands and your knees on the floor. Let's inhale a cow pose and try to bring your shoulder blades close to each other so you can open your chest. And exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. One more time, cow pose. And cat pose. Now let's inhale, cow pose and bring your right leg up. Exhale, round yourself, knee to your face. Inhale, cow pose, right leg up, showing your chest very much. And exhale, round yourself, knee to your face. Next time you do cow pose, stay still with your leg raising up. Bend your knee and point your toes toward your head. Turn your right hip down to face the floor. And then let's use your left hand and hold your foot. Kick your leg up higher and higher. Shoulder opening here. Inhale, raise your heart up. And exhale, raise your knee up too. Try to take a few breaths here. Inhale, feel how your chest is expanding. And exhale, flat. And then let's step your foot forward into your right hand. Underneath asana pose. This time find a block with you. Or maybe you can bring the blocks to both sides. And raise yourself up. Sink your hip low and put the block quite far away to the side of your hips. Inhale, bring your arms up. And exhale, side bending. Hold your right hand on the block on your right side. Push your hips to the left side and reaching your left arm to the right side. Let's inhale, come back to center. And exhale, change side. So the other side. Push your hips to the right side and reaching your right arm to the left. Inhale, come up to the center and exhale. Now holding your right hand to the block again. Hip pushing to the left side and stay here. When you inhale, turn your chest up to the ceiling and bring your arms over your head to the behind of you and then bring your arms in front of you. Inhale again, stretch even more and exhale, arms finishing the circle and bring over your head for one more round. Inhale and exhale. Now let's hold your left hand onto the block and bring your right arm over your head. The same here, inhale, raise your chest up and exhale, bring your arms behind you and then in front of you. Inhale, raise your chest up. And exhale, finish the circle for one more round. Inhale and exhale. Let's hold the blocks. Put the blocks in front of you on the same level as your front foot. Raise your hip up into pyramid pose. It's fine if you are not putting your back heel on the floor, but think of how your legs are scissoring toward each other. So pull your front leg back, but don't actually move it. And kick your back foot forward without actually moving it. And you will feel the stretch happening all over your hamstring and the outside of your right hip. Inhale, halfway up. And exhale, forward bend. Imagine you want to bring your face down to kiss your shin bone. And then let's move the blocks to the side, hands down to the floor. Step your front foot back, plank pose. Chaturanga as you exhale. Inhale, cobra pose or upward facing dog. Always notice your hands, they should be flat on the floor. And exhale, downward facing dog. Stay for a while in down dog. You can walk your heels on and off the floor. And then let's bring your knees down to the floor into table pose. We're going to do the cat tail pose. And now you can use the strap to wear it on your right ankle. Hold the strap with your left hand. So what we do is that you're going to reach your hand back and walk the strap as close as you can. Kick your leg up and hold your hand as close to the foot as you can. Then see if you can bend your elbow and bring your hand next to your shoulder and bring your elbow forward into the flip grip, the cat tail pose. Try to bring your hands and your leg up higher and higher. So now your arm is in very deep shoulder flexion. Always keep hugging your elbows toward your face. And to get out of this pose, you can bring your hand back to your shoulder and straighten your arm. Bring your knee down to the floor. Get rid of the strap. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, cat pose. 2 more rounds. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. And one more time. Cow pose, try to open your chest very much. And cat pose, round yourself a lot. Then we see in cow pose, and bring your left leg up this time. Inhale. And exhale, knee to your face, the mountain climber. Inhale, raise your left leg up. And exhale, the mountain climber again. And in the third time, we're going to keep in cow pose. Bend your left knee, point your toes toward your head. And then turn your left hip down, so don't open it to the side. Use your opposite hand, which means your right hand, to find your ankle. Once you find it here, kick your leg up really high and raise your chest up at the same time. So think of how your knee and your chest go up at the same time. Look at anything that makes you feel balanced here. And notice how your hand is flat on the floor. Your arms will be as strong as in plank pose. For one more time, inhale and exhale, release your hand. Step your left foot to the front of your mat in your left hand position. So prepare the 2 blocks and put them on the side of your hips. Bring your hip very low so that you start feeling the stretch on the front of your right hip. Inhale, bring your arms over your head in Anjali Asana. And exhale, put your left hand onto the block, push your hip to the right side and reach your right hand to the left side for the side bend. Inhale, Anjali Asana, the low lunge stretch. And exhale, right hand down to the block, push your hips the other way and reach your left arm over your head. Inhale, back to the center in Anjali Asana. And exhale, holding your left hand into the block. Now pushing your hip more and more to the right side. When you inhale, turn your chest up. And exhale, start bringing your arm behind you and complete a full circle for 2 more rounds. Inhale, reach yourself very much and exhale. Finish the circle. One last time, inhale and exhale. And then let's bring your right hand down to the block. On the other side, if you feel tired on your back knee, lift it up a little bit and bring it back down. And then let's sink your hip low again and bring your left arm over your head. Inhale, let's turn your chest up again and exhale, finish the circle for 2 more rounds. And exhale one last time. Then hold both blocks. Put the blocks in front of you so they are on the same level as your front foot. Bring your back leg off the floor. Only your back foot will be on the floor. Straighten both of your knees. The front knee, you make it as straight as your body allows you to. Maybe micro bend your knee a little bit and then think of the scissor. So you really want to drag your front foot back and you want to move your back foot forward. But it actually doesn't move. You only activate those muscles. Inhale halfway up and exhale forward bend. And then let's move the blocks to the side. Put your hands down to the floor. Step your front foot back, plank pose. Inhale and exhale, chaturanga. Let's lay down to the floor. And then inhale, cobra pose. And now see if you can hold the floor only with your fingertips. And then put your right hand into the middle line of your mat. So here you can still be low. You don't need to be high, fully extended in your arms. But I want you to try to hold the floor only with your right hand and bring your left arm over your head. Very strong in your back. Let's inhale, reach your arm up higher. And exhale, bring your hands down to the floor and lay down. Inhale, cobra pose. And now hold the floor only with your fingertips. Put your left hand into the middle line of your mat. And then inhale, bring your right arm up. Use a lot of your back strength. Think of how you want to move your chest forward. Inhale and exhale. Now slowly push up into a plank pose and then a downward facing dog. And throughout all these poses, keep your hands flat on the floor, especially inside your wrist and at the root of your thumbs and index finger. Let's walk your heels on and off the floor in downward facing dog. Bring your hips up higher and higher. From downward facing dog, move your shoulder forward and bring your knees down to the floor. So now we're going to do the flip grip. Hold the strap with your right hand and wear the strap. You can make a loop like I'm doing here on your left foot. Let's bring your right hand back and kick your left leg up. Walk your hand as close toward the foot as you can. Bend your knee to make that happen. And see if you can bring your hand toward your shoulder and bring your arm in front of you. So now your arm is in deep flexion, your shoulder. Keep hugging your elbows toward your head. Don't open your elbows out. And walk your hand closer and closer. Raise your chest up. Inhale. Then exhale. For 2 more breaths like this. Always pushing your arm and your foot back. One day you will be holding your foot. And when you want to get out of this pose, hand back to your shoulder. Move your elbow back. And then straighten your arm. Get the strap out from your foot. Whew. Table pose. So from table pose, downward facing dog. Look forward in front of your mat. We're going to step your feet forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Let's stand up as you inhale. Bring your arms over your head. And exhale, hands in front of your heart. Take a small break here in the mountain pose. Cool down in your breath. Let's slowly open your eyes, and now let's get a step back so that you will be closer to the wall. We're going to try this high lunge pose close to the wall and do the back bend. So keep your left foot forward and step your right foot back so that you are touching your right heel on the wall. Depends on how challenging you want the pose to be. You can step your feet further away from each other. Keep your hip forward so that your front knee will be right on the top of your front ankle. And now bring your arms over your head as if you're pushing something up. So extend your wrist like I'm doing here. This will be the action you do in plank pose and also in wheel pose. So this will be what we do in plank. Shoulder flexion about 90 degrees. But if you flex your shoulder even more, it will be wheel pose. Start back bending. Try to lift your chest up all the time, and maybe you can touch the wall behind you. So if you are here, that's great. Put your whole hands into the wall and push into the wall for deep back bend. Now you can keep your head looking up a little bit, but don't let go fully of your head because it's scary. So think of looking at something on the ceiling right in front of you. Take a deep inhale and make your legs really strong. So to get out of this pose, you need to bring your chin to your chest first and then curl your belly and get out of the pose. Okay, so step your foot forward. We're going to do this again without the wall. So to get out of the back bend, you need front to contract the muscles on the front of your body. It's like a crunch with your belly. So let's try it. So we're going to flow the same flow as we did before, but this time you're going to do dancer pose with a flip grip. Prepare the strap with you on your right hand. Bend your right knee and wear the strap on your right ankle. At first, hold into the strap very close to your foot. Bring your left arm over your head and start kicking the foot up. Now let's bring your hand, holding with the strap, into your shoulder. If you cannot reach your shoulder, hold a bit longer. And then bring your elbow over your head. Here you are in the flip grip. The other hand can join too. So you're holding both hands into the strap. Kick your leg up high as you walk your hand closer and closer toward the foot. And always keep your hip square. So don't open yourself to the side. Think of how both sides of your elbows and your shoulders and your belly button will be facing the front of the room. And then to get out of this pose, release your left hand first. Try to bring your elbow behind you and then straighten your leg. Remove the strap, put it on the side. We're going to use it later. Hug your belly in, chair pose. Inhale in chair, think of you reaching your hands further away. And exhale, squeeze your belly in. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale, forward bend. Slowly inhale, halfway up. And exhale, forward bend. Step your right foot a long step back. And now prepare your hands. So think of how you're flexing you're extending your wrist just like in plank pose. Bring your arms in front of you and then push that invisible thing over your head and push back. So as if you want to reach your hand to the world behind you. Sink your hip low, lift your chest up and look at something above you. So don't let go of your head. It's very scary and hard to get out of the pose then. And once you get out of the pose, bring your chin down toward your chest, round your belly in. Bring your back leg down to the floor, open yourself, warrior two. Inhale in warrior two and exhale, wrapping your back arm around your back, reverse warrior. Inhale for one breath here and exhale, reaching your hand further away. Inhale, bring your arms out and exhale, extended side angle. So put your hand down to the floor inside your foot. Bring your top hand back and up. Let's do the bound here. So turn your top hand back and bring it down, waiting at the outside of your hip. The other hand will go between your legs and you can find your hands. So if you don't find your hands, use a strap to connect your hands. Let's turn your chest up as you inhale and exhale. For one more breath. And exhale, opening your arms, bring both hands down to the floor and turn your back leg. So straighten and bend your knee for several times. And then put your hands down to the floor. So send your front foot back and up into a standing downward facing dog split. You can kick your leg up several times, higher and higher. And then put your foot down to the floor. Let's bring both of your elbows down to the floor at the same time into dolphin pose. And then raise your left leg up again. Bend your right knee, raise your right heel up. And then you can jump kick for 5 times into forearm stand. If you feel scared, you can head back into the wall. And you don't have to care if you are very low or very high. 5 times, okay. Woo. Bring your knees down to the floor and lay down to the floor. Whew. Now we're going to do the bow pose. So lay flat on the floor and bend your knees. Holding your ankles with your hands and squeeze your shoulders behind you. Inhale, lift your chest up. Keep your neck long and keep your face calm by looking at something on the floor. And kick your legs up and back. When you inhale, feel your belly pressing into your thighs, into the floor. And when you exhale, it's like you're rocking on the floor for one more breath. Try to keep your toes close to each other. We'll slowly get out of this pose. Bring your hands next to your heart. And slowly push yourself up into plank and then downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in down dog. Lift your hips up high. And then let's lift your right leg up. Oops. So inhale here. If you want to try jumping, let's do it 5 times. So bend your left knee and raise your left heel up. 4 and 5. Step your right foot forward immediately and bring your back leg further into high lunge pose. So inhale, high lunge. And exhale, twisted lunge. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Turn your chest toward the right side and bring your left arm outside of your knee. Inhale here, raise your chest up and away from your hips and then open your arms. So one pointing up and one pointing down. Always keep the connection between your arm and your knee. You can turn your top hand back and bring it down to your hip. And maybe you can use the other hand to find this hand. So it's easier for me on this side. If you cannot find your hands anywhere, you can hold into your own hips and the other hand in your waist and keep twisting. So inhale and exhale. Twist even more. For one more breath. And then slowly get out of this pose. Let's open yourself to the other side by putting your right hand inside your right foot. Put your back foot down to the floor and opening yourself into triangle pose. Inhale, lengthening from your hip to your head. And exhale, bring your hand down to the same level as your head and then over your ears, stretching yourself even more. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And now bring your hands down to the floor. Fix your back leg position and slowly stand up into pyramid pose. Now your hips will be facing the front. Interlace your finger behind you. Try to touch your palms to each other and then squeeze your shoulder blades to each other. So now it's already a back bend. Your chest is going forward very much. Bring your hands up, inhale, and exhale. Start bending forward until your body is parallel to the floor. It's fine if you are bending your front knee a little bit, but think of how you're doing the scissor action again. Front foot trying to zip back into back foot. One more breath, inhale, and exhale. And then let's slowly bring your hands down toward the floor. Let's hold into the block and hold the strap with your left hand. Walk the blocks in front of you, warrior 3. So now it's a hard thing. Can you bend your back knee and point your toes toward your head and use the strap to do the flip grip dancer pose from here? So let's hold the block with your right hand and wear the loop of the strap into your back foot. Yeah. From here, hold the strap behind you and then bend your elbows so that you can bring your hand very close to your shoulder. Lengthen the strap if you cannot reach your shoulder and then bring your arms in front of you. Ooh. Try to keep balance here. Very hard. So let's try again one more time. And see if you can really go up into dancer pose. Maybe you can. And that's enough. Wow. That's tiring, right? Shake your legs a little bit. And take a small break before we do same flow on the other side. So you can drink some water or you can just stay here and calm down with your breath. And when you are done with resting, let's step back. This time we do high lunge with your left heel on the wall. So make it a high lunge by bending your front knee and putting your front knee right on the top of your front ankle. Let's lift your hands up as if you want to push something up to the sky, like you play basketball. Keep your arms hugging toward you and then try to reach to the wall behind you. Oh, here it is. So once you're here, you can step your hands down a little bit so that your whole hand can be touching the wall and not only your fingertips. Then push the wall so that you can open your chest even more and look at something up and in front of you. Don't let go of your head because it's scary. And make sure that you are still breathing through your nose. You're not blocking your throat. Push your chest up so you feel the opening happening on your chest and not on your lower back. To get out of this pose, chin to your chest and curling yourself to get out of the pose. So let's step your foot forward. Let's move the block to the side and hold the strap. We're going to do dancer pose with a flip grip on your left side. So take as much of a break as you want here. And then let's wear the strap onto your left ankle. Hold the strap as close as you can toward your foot. Kick your leg up and see if you can bring your hand to touch your shoulder. If you can't, lengthen the strap. Once your hand touching your shoulder, bring your elbows in front of you. This is the flip grip. Fix your body so that your hips will be square and not turning to one side. And maybe the other hand can join this hand too. Bring your leg up higher and lift your hands up too. When you always keep your elbows closing toward your head. So don't open your elbows out. Then suppose, for one more breath, inhale. And when you exhale, release one hand, and the other hand, bring your hand back to your shoulder and bring your elbows down. Get out of the pose. Move the strap to one side. Hug your belly in before you do chair pose. Remember to open your knees out just a little bit to activate your butt, your glute muscles in chair. Inhale and exhale, squeeze your belly in. Inhale next time and exhale, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Now let's step your left foot back, a long step. We're going to stand up in high lunge and try to do the back bend just like when you were with the world. So at first, opening your front knee out, don't let it collapse in. Make your legs really stable, don't change anything at all from your hips down. Push that invisible thing up toward the sky and then push it back. So as if you want to reach the world behind you, but don't open your arms out, keep hugging your elbows in toward your head. Push your chest up higher. When you inhale, you really feel your chest opening. And exhale, tighten your belly in for one more breath. Look at something that makes you still breathing and speaking. Inhale and exhale, round your belly as if you're doing cat pose. And then open your leg into warrior two. Spend one breath here to fix your warrior two pose. Inhale deeply. Make sure your front thigh bone is opening out. And then bring your left arm wrapping around your back. Reverse warrior. Turning your chest up toward the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, reaching a bit further. Inhale, warrior two. And exhale, extended side angle. Bring your right hand down to the floor or to the block. Ready to do the bound. So when you are ready, turn your top hand back and bring it down to your hip, and the other hand will be underneath your leg, finding your hands. So the bound in warrior two, I think is quite fine for you. The hard thing is the other bound, the bound in the twist. That's much harder. So once you're here, let's turn your chest up toward the sky even more every time you breathe. And then slowly bring your hands down to the floor. Fix your back leg, bend and straighten your knees several times. And then put your hands down to the floor, pick your front foot up and send it into down dog split. Put your foot down to the floor and let's go to dolphin pose. So you can bring your knees down first and then your elbows. Bring your hips back, bend your knees and lift your right leg up. Bend your knee and kick and jump into forearm stand. It doesn't matter if you don't make it today. Maybe you feel a bit higher than last time you do it. And then lay down to the floor. Take a small break here. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. So now we're going to do bow pose again, but this time we're going to try this bow pose that is quite strange. So let's build up something that looks like this, so that you have a surface to put your belly on. I'm going to come closer and put my belly on this block. Okay, so now I'm here in the back bend without doing anything. Fix your pose so that it will not hurt you in your lower back. Bend your knees and then flex your ankles. So you're here. Hold into your leg and pull your leg away from, and kick with your legs. So now you want to pull your arms away from your shoulders. This bow pose is with your legs on the floor and is very deeply opening in your chest. So keep inhale and exhale. And slowly get out of this pose. Round yourself into cat pose. Very gentle cow pose and cat pose again. Move around gently. And then slowly move the blocks away. Downward facing dog. Stay here in down dog for a while. Cool down with your breath and lift your hips up high. Think of back bend as a lot of compression in your spine. And notice your hands. Make sure that they are still flat on the floor. So from this down dog, we're going to step your feet a bit closer. If you don't want to jump anymore, you just step your left foot forward and wait there for me. If you want to do the jumping, leg up and up and up. Whew. And after 5 times, let's step your left foot forward and fix your back leg position so that we can grow up into high lunge. Inhale, stand up in high lunge. And exhale, twisted lunge, hands in front of your heart, turning your chest to the left side. Bring your elbow outside of your knee and twist. So inhale, lengthen yourself, and exhale, turning your chest more to the side. Then keep the connection between your arm and your leg, open your arms. Turn your top hand back and bring it down to your hip. And bend your right elbow. Maybe you can only hold your hip, that's fine. But if you can bring your hand underneath your thigh and find the other hand, you can try that. Oh, notice that this pose is really hard. So if you don't do it now, it's fine. If you need the strap to do it, you can get out of the pose and use the strap. Anyway, keep turning and twisting. It's fine if you don't go into the full pose. For one more breath, inhale and exhale. Now let's slowly get out of this pose. You can use a block with you, or you can put your left hand on the floor. We will open to the other side into triangle pose. So keep both of your legs straight. Bring your right arm up to the ceiling. Inhale. Very deeply fill up your lungs. And then bring your hand to the same level as your head and bring your arms over your head. Still take a deep inhale. And exhale. Let's bring your hands down to the floor and fix your hips so that now you can stand up into pyramid pose. Take a few breaths here to cool down before you do the pyramid pose in back bend variation. So when you are ready, let's interlace your finger behind you. Let's do it the unusual way. So if you always do this, you open your hand and do the other way. Try to bend your elbows a little bit, so now your palms are touching into each other. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and now it's already a back bend on your upper back. Lift your hands up and start going forward, so you'll be parallel to the floor. Think of how you're pulling your hip back and raising your head forward for a long spine. Inhale and exhale. And then let's release your hands. Find the blocks, bend your front knee. Going to walk the blocks forward and be ready to warrior 3. But now, a challenge is to go from warrior 3 to dancer pose. So you can hold the strap on your right hand. Warrior 3 first. Bend your knee, pointing your toes toward your head. Stand only on your left leg and left hand. Let's wear the strap into your right ankle. And once you are here, bring your hand, bend your elbows and bring your hand toward your shoulder. You can lengthen the strap to reach your shoulder and bring your arms over your head. Keep hugging your elbows toward your head. Maybe you can lift your left hand off the block and join your right hand too into dancer pose. Keep pushing your elbows in toward each other and up. And when you want to get out of this pose, get out of the flip grip the same way you get in. Shake your legs a little bit and take a break. So you can drink something or you can just stay here and calm down with your breath. And once you are calmed, we can continue. We're going to do dancer pose for the last time on each side. So move the block to the side. Prepare your strap with you. Let's do dancer pose with a flip grip on your right leg. So at first, let's do dancer first, as if you are doing this dancer pose. So eventually, I'm going to show you how it looked like without the strap. Eventually, you're going to hold your toes, and then you're going to bring your hand closer to your shoulder and open your arms. So that will be when you don't need the strap anymore. But now for safety, let's just use the strap. You can hold as close as you want. Just make sure that you can bring your hand to your shoulder. So if you're stuck here, you can lengthen the strap. Hand to your shoulder and then shoulder in front of you. The other hand will join. So there's a pose with the flip grip. Notice your standing leg. Make sure that your toes are not pointing in, because there will be internal rotation. So we try to do external rotation actually. Think of how you are pushing your arm and your legs up and up to make a very big shape here. Most of the shape comes from your shoulder and your hips. And then slowly get out of this pose. See if you can transit into twisted hand to big toes. So bring your leg in front of you and hold the strap with your left hand. So in case you fall out of the pose, just bring your right leg in front of you and hold the foot with your left hand and twist. So now your chest will be facing the right side. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Now another challenge. See if you can sit down like this. Whew. If you fall, just let yourself fall, because we will sit down to the floor anyway. Both pose. So for today, both pose, let's put both feet into the strap. And try to straighten your knees while you are still having your neutral spine. So don't be rounded. Bring your shoulders down and bring your shoulders back. Okay, and now get out both pose. Both pose again. This time straighten your legs. Hug your belly in so much that you slowly lay down to the floor and bend your knees. Put your feet down to the floor. Bridge pose. Press your arms down to the side of your body. Keep your knees exactly this distance. Don't open them out while you do bridge. And lift your chest up and your hips up. Move your arms underneath your chest and interlace your finger, pressing them down toward the floor. So think of how your whole spine, nothing is on the floor, because the thick muscles on your upper back are squeezing into each other and pressing down to the floor. So bring your pubic bone up even higher and higher. Feel how strong your legs are now. Your heels try to push down to the floor, and all your hamstring and your glute muscles are activating, working very much. And then slowly get out of this pose and lay down to the floor. Take a small break here before we do the fish pose. So you have been doing fish pose with the block underneath your back, but we barely do the rear fish pose. So to do fish pose, let's straighten your legs. Lift your body off the floor with your elbows next to you, as if you want to sit up, and then raise your chest up. And bring the top of your head down to the floor. So this is fish pose. Use your back muscle very much, so that now the weight is not on your head and you're looking at the room behind you upside down. This is fish pose. You can bring your arms up, or maybe you can bring your legs up too. And stay for 1 or 2 breaths. Point your toes and then get out of this pose. So to get out of the pose, elbows down to the floor, chin to your chest. And then lay down to the floor. Whew, it was really hard speaking at the same time as doing fish pose. Take just a few breaths here. Don't let your body cool down. You can try wheel pose now for the first time. So at first, stay here and imagine wheel pose is kind of like a combination between bridge pose, where you have to lift your hips up, and fish pose, where you have to lift your chest up. So let's try wheel pose for the first time. And this pose is a very hard one, so it really doesn't matter if you cannot lift your head up. Let's bend your knees and put your feet on the floor, just like in bridge. Put your hands next to your ears and your hands are pointing to your shoulder. So this is feeling a little bit weird arm position. And look at your elbows. You can see them hugging toward your head. check in with your hands. They should be flat on the floor, especially in the thumb and index finger. So first, keep hugging your arms toward your head. Lift your hips up. This is bridge pose, right? See if you can lift your chest up and bring the top of your head down to the floor. If you straighten your arms, you may be able to lift your head up. But otherwise, you can just keep the top of your head down to the floor and make everything else working so much that there's almost no weight on your head. To get out of this pose, chin to your chest, the back side of your head down to the floor, and you lay down to the floor. Try one more time if you want to. This time I will not guide you into the pose. I will just let you do it slowly, and notice that when you look at your elbows, they are always hugging toward your head. Don't point them out. Otherwise, if you don't want to try it, let's bring your legs from side to side like the windshield on your car. Take a small break here if you have done wheel pose for this time. You can do windshield too. And we will definitely do wheel pose again. Right, so let's hug your knees to your chest. So let's straighten your legs on the floor and hug your belly in. Move from your shoulder and slowly come to a sitting pose using your core. Bend your knees and cross your legs so that you can go to downward facing dog. Oh. Inhale in down dog and exhale. Take several few breaths here. Push your hips up higher and higher. Going to do the Y thing. So let's bring your right leg up as you inhale. Flip your hip, turning your hip to the right side. Bend your knees and lower yourself so that you can put your right foot on the floor behind you. Open your right arm over your head and turn your chest up to the ceiling. So here, if you feel like very confident, it's optional, really optional. You can lower yourself so that your right hand will be on the floor and turn your back hand in the same direction, so you're in a wheel pose here. So this is hard. You can try it. Then to get out of this pose, turn your left hand back and slowly pick your right hand up into downward facing dog again. Walk your heels on and off the floor and step your feet forward, pushing your belly up and up very much. Eventually stay at the front of your mat, hugging your elbows and swinging gently from side to side. Then slowly stand up, rounding yourself. Inhale, arms over your head. And exhale, take a deep breath. Take a long break here. If you feel really tired, you can use a bee breath to calm you down. That's when you inhale deeply, and when you exhale, you hum. So we can do that together for 3 rounds. Inhale. Second round, you can find a new pitch, higher or lower, for your voice to hum. And then we will continue with the last time we do dancer pose of today. So find the strap with you. This time it will be on your left leg. So hold the strap very close as if you are doing this normal dancer pose. Ooh. Notice your leg on the floor. Don't let it be internal rotation. Always point your knee and your toes exactly to the front. Kick your leg up and then bend your elbow. Put your hand on your shoulder and bring your elbow to the front of your body. The other hand can join into dancer pose. Think of how your shoulders, your rib cage, or your rib bones and your belly button are facing to the front of the room. See if you can kick your leg up higher, and maybe you can hold your hands a bit closer for one more breath. And now a challenge. See if you can slowly get out of dancer pose. Bring your leg in front of you. Maybe wear the strap into your foot and change hands. So now you're holding the strap with your right hand. Hand to big toe twisted. If you fall out of the pose, just get out of it and raise your left leg in front of you, holding your left leg with your right hand and turning to the left side. Take a few breaths here. And then we will slowly sit down with your leg raising up like this. It's a challenge. See how long you can last. And eventually you can just sit down to the floor and do both pose. So maybe bringing 2 feet inside the strap is not so comfortable. Let's hold into your big toes. Lift your legs up, squeezing your legs to each other and raise your heels up. Always raise your chest up at the same time as you're raising your heels, because otherwise you'll be rounded and you will lose balance in both poses. So if you bending your knees like this, absolutely fine. And bring your shoulders down and back. Long neck, big chest here. And then get out of this pose, slowly lay down, round yourself, straighten your legs. Use your core strength to lay down to the floor and bend your knees. Ready to do bridge pose. So take some break here first. When you can bring your hips away from your shoulders, so you have more space for your bridge pose. And then we can try bridge pose. Press your heels down to the floor so that you can lift your hips up. Curl your arms to hide them underneath your chest and interlace your finger. You can interlace the other way this time. And pressing your arms down to the floor. And feel how your arms and your upper back muscles are supporting you underneath your spine. So your spine will not be crossing down to the floor. Push your feet down to the floor so much that you feel your buttock and your hamstring, the back side of your leg, they're working. They are on fire right now. So this will be what you feel. Your legs are extremely strong in dancer pose. In wheel pose. And then let's slowly get out of this pose and lay down to the floor. Should we try fish pose for one more time? Stay here for a while first, and then straighten your legs on the floor. Raise your upper body off the floor, still keeping your buttock on the floor, and put your elbows down to the floor, so as if you are sunbathing here. From here, raise your chest up and bring the top of your head to face the floor. Walk your elbows forward to lower yourself, and eventually you can bring the top of your head on the floor. Make your spine, make your muscle work so much that your spine is arched like a bridge and there's not much weight putting on your head. Then you can bring your arms up, and this is good enough. But if you want even more, lift your legs up to pointing your toes in a full fish pose. And slowly get out of this pose, elbows down, lift your heads up and lay down to the floor. Take a few breaths here. Before we do wheel pose, the second time. Let your body calm down just a little bit, but don't let it cool down completely. Then you can bend your knees. Put your hands next to your ears and pointing your fingers toward your shoulders. Make sure that you're not pressing on your hair. Check in with your hands, especially the inside of your wrist, the root of your thumbs, and index finger, hugging your elbows in toward your head. At first, lift your hips up, and then lift your chest up, put your head on the floor. You can stay here and still see how your arms are hugging into each other. Or you can straighten your elbows and go up into a wheel pose. Be really strong with your legs, pushing your heels down to the floor very much. And when you want to get out of this protein to your chest, put the back side of your head down to the floor and lay down to the floor. Oh, relax a little bit. If you want to do a wheel pose one more time, if you really want to do it, you can do it. Otherwise, open your arms out and turning your legs from side to side. And after this, we're going to use your core to get out of this pose. So you will straighten your legs, lift your shoulder blades up, and slowly everything else up from the floor. Cross your legs and go to downward facing dog. Stay for a while in down dog. Push your hips up really high. Bring your shoulders away from your ears. Make your neck long and turn your neck, your head from side to side. We're going to do the wild thing pose. It's a back bend, and there is a transition to wheel pose, but it's absolutely optional. Only do it if you feel like confident about it. So let's lift your left leg up as you inhale. Open your hip to the left side. Bend your knee. Bend both knees so that you lower yourself and you can put your foot down to the floor. Bring both feet down to the floor already, like in wheel, and turn your chest up. If your left arm over your head is very low to the floor, you can try to put it on the floor. Maybe here. And then turn your right hand to point to the same direction as your left hand to wheel pose. Otherwise, just stay in wild thing. And to get out of this pose, turn your right hand back first. Pick your left hand and bring it down to the floor. Downward facing dog again. Walk your heels on and off the floor. And then charge pose. So bring your knees down to the floor. Oh my God, I'm so tired. And head down to the floor. Bring your arms along the side of your body. Let your back be big. Let your shoulder blades sliding away from each other. Stay in charge pose and calm down. Let's move your hands gently. Move in your wrist. Now slowly get out of the charge pose. You have your knees on the floor. Let's put your hands down and put your knee on top of your hand. Let's start with your right hand first. And think of how you're pushing your knee down to your hand, but you want to slide your hand away from your knee. And then the other hand. And from here you can lay down to the floor. On your back. Oh, so happy. Let's do some gentle twist before we take a rest in Savasana. So straighten your legs, but bring your right knee in toward your chest. Turn yourself to the left side and put your right knee on the floor. If for some reason your leg is not on the floor, you can put it on a block. And open your right arm to the right side. Turn your face to the right side too. Allow your breath to slow down. Let go of everything on your body. And just let the floor hold your shoulders. And then you can change sides. So come back to the center first and neutralize your body. Then bend your left knee. Try to find relaxation. And just let go of your shoulders and let the floor hold you in both of your shoulders. Feel how your breath is calming down and your body is cooling down. And slowly find your way to the center and neutralize your body. You can lift your hips up and lift your shoulders up and bring them away from each other. Eventually open your legs about as wide as your mat so that your legs can fall to the side freely, and turn your palms to face up. Feel the deep breath, inhale and exhale. And just let your inhale and exhale happen naturally. Every time you exhale, relax more into your shoulders, into your hips, and especially connecting between your shoulders and your hips, your spine with all the vertebrae. Let them sink toward the floor. Feel how your breath is slowing down and becoming more gentle. And allow yourself to stay here for a long rest in Savasana. So that was a lot of flowing movement today. As you can see that the big back bend come a lot from your shoulder opening and hips opening. And as you practice more and more, your back bend will definitely improve, and it will stretch you very much at the front of your body and bring strength and flexibility to your back. Thank you very much for joining me today, and Namaste.